once again, individuals, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program 0.24. Yes, the big update has finally arrived, and with it, contracts. So what I am going to do is I am going to start a new game called Bagel Rabbit, in which not one B, two Bs, two Bs or not two Bs, and just go with the Kerbal Space Program flag. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do this a la Scott Manley's reusable space program, and I'm going to have to try my very best to be able to reuse every single stage of every single craft that there is, but of course, I'm doing it with contracts as well. So this is going to be a fun learning experience. Let's go ahead and see what this thing has to offer. I can go ahead, go into mission control, and now it's time to see what contracts we can accept. Let's go ahead, and I think that we can launch a new vessel. No problem there. Set an altitude record of 5 kilometers. Decent. I don't think that we can do either of these yet with the technology that we've been given, especially if we don't want to lose any parts, which we don't. So let's grab a parachute, capsule, a Communitron 16. I'm going to grab a solid fuel booster, stick it on the bottom there, and grab 3 modular girder segments, I guess, because we don't have landing legs just yet. I'm going to get landing legs probably on the next flight. But until then, we do need a suitable alternative, and this seems to be it. We can also go ahead and thrust limit this booster, maybe not all the way down to 29, and finally adjust the staging. I think that is it. We can go ahead, and 3, 2, 1, and we're off. And let's get a crew report from over Kerbin Shores and transmit that data, I guess. Of course, we don't have much electric charge, especially because this thing doesn't regenerate electric charge, which is a little bit of a shame, but I mean, keep in mind we are going to still have enough science to unlock the next rung of the tech tree. I can actually go ahead and speed up to 4 times acceleration just to make things a little bit easier because, you know, hey, I do want... Ooh, I fulfilled both of my contracts. That's nice. So, we're heading upwards now. We're at 17 kilometers. I do think that this is high enough to be considered upper atmosphere, maybe? Or at the very least, Yep, there we are. So, let's keep that data. This is very important data. I also do think that if the velocity gets low enough, we can actually go ahead and take Jeb out on EVA, but only for a very, very brief amount of time. You have a feeling that you should get back inside the ship. Yes, I would too. We're going to have to just pop the parachute when we pop the parachute and see where it goes from there. I hope that we don't land on the edge of the VAB. No, it looks like we're going to miss it. Let's pop that parachute, and 8 meters per second is plenty low speed to get this thing down in one piece, and indeed, it's down in one piece, and now we just have to wheel it about 10 meters into the vehicle assembly building, and we can go ahead and dismantle this thing and recover it. Beautiful first flight. Nice job, Jeb. So it looks like we've gained a good amount of reputation. We're up to 28 science. We might have been able to gain more reputation if Jeb didn't do the kind of illicit EVA, but you know, it worked. And we maintain pretty much everything. We get all of our funds back except for that of the solid fuel, but I mean, that's understandable. We get 98% back, so that is plenty enough with a total of 47 reputation. Wonderful job, guys. Alright, it is time to go to our next level of science and of contracts. I'm going to grab some mystery goo. 23 science is enough to unlock general rocketry. I would also like to unlock this, especially because of the parachutes that it gives you. However, we only have 3 science remaining, and I do think that we are able to use the other science for good stuff. Alright, let's see. What can we do? I think that we can set an altitude record of 33 kilometers. I also think that we can probably escape the atmosphere. We can test a stack decoupler, no problem. And I think that we can test a solid fuel booster while landed. I have a good idea for this. And finally we can test, so everything except for going into orbit. Let's see how we can achieve this. Alright, so this is the first launch that could really make or break our space program. You can see right here I have an outrageously tall rocket. All this is just pure liquid fuel gold, and I'm going to try to launch it on 3 engines. This is an enormous project. It's just to try to get this thing into space and to get it back safely, hopefully deep into space. So let's go ahead though and first test the SRBs. And yes, I'm going to test these SRBs by firing them upwards until they run out of fuel, which is a wonderful way to do ground testing. And then I'm just going to decouple this thing, which is actually another contract that I have to fulfill, and take this thing into space. I'm going to get a mystery goo observation from the launch pad as this is happening, because this is rather boring. And then we can go ahead and throttle up most of the way. Countdown. Actually arrange the staging so that this thing does not fall and explode. 3, 2, 1, and we are off, and we have fulfilled that second contract, and we are in the air, and it is time to get another mystery goo sample just really quickly. Come on, mystery goo. There we go. The goo jiggles and wobbles as the craft flies. Here are my landing legs right here. They're a little insane. I think that they will be more than enough to keep this thing from tipping over on landing, but I'm not entirely sure. And in addition, I have 13 parachutes, which hopefully is not an unlucky number in this case. And those parachutes will hopefully bring me down to a very safe and slow and non-explosive landing. I might have to recover the vessel immediately after I land, just so that the thing does not just go kablooey on me. But, I mean, that is a risk that I will have to take. I have set the altitude record, and I'm still burning, and I'm still traveling upwards at close to 900 meters per second. So I think that that will be enough to get me into space. Let's get a goo sample from high altitude, some good high altitude science, good quality high altitude science. The goo seems to be getting very cold now. Really, I wouldn't have guessed. And soon we will be in space. It looks like yeah, look, guys, we're in space on the second flight. What an admirable job. I normally don't do that in my normal career mode, let alone with a 100% reusable spacecraft. So getting some EVA reports and just general data from in space near Kerbin. I'm going to go ahead and keep this data. It seems we are very much in space right now, as opposed to being only a little bit in space. It looks like we're going to get an apoapse of 90 kilometers, which is very reasonable, especially for the general wibbly-wobbly, unstable nature of this craft. So, yes, I'm happy about that. We have re-entered the atmosphere. I do think that we can time warp up to 4 times acceleration. I do need to just look at the MK16 parachute so that I can deploy them at the proper time, which will be relatively soon. So I do think that I need to time warp down. I'm at the right altitude. I'm going way too fast. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get it done this time. Maybe if I have more fuel, I can fire, or maybe I can actually just deploy a parachute and then immediately cut it just to say, yes, I did do this contract. So I guess it's time to deploy the parachutes now because we are in the correct velocity range, even if we're not at the correct altitude range. And now we're just going to have to wait and see whether or not these parachutes will be able to safely bring this thing down to a nice gentle landing. So in the next episode, I'm going to reach orbit. I'm going to test many things on the ground. It's going to be a really great time. I'm going to have a lot of fun, and that will probably be it. So yes, this is it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Recover vessel, recover vessel, recover vessel, recover vessel, recover vessel. There we go. Let's see what kind of achievements. Oh wow, look at all that. Look at all that reputation. 58 science, and we recovered all of our parts for 76,000 Kerbucks, and we got our Kerbal back. Nice job, Jebediah. Have a very nice day, individuals. Like, favorite, subscribe, and share, please. I will see you next time with another episode of Kerbal Space Program 0.24. Peace.